Good evening. I'll call this meeting to order, January 18th, 2024, 6 p.m., Fire Service Advisory Commission. First thing on the agenda is the minutes that were provided. I do know that two of you did not receive those yet, as we just got you seated. If we want to push that to next meeting, that is okay, since you do not have knowledge, but they are on the back of your minutes if you had a chance to look over those. So that is up to the group if they choose and have a majority to approve the minutes.
I've read over them. I'm good if we want to make a
Okay.
motion.
I'll make a motion with vote on them tonight.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor? 4-0. Okay, normally on this meeting, we would do elections of the officers for this meeting. So with that, we would take nominations for chair for that.
I'd like to make a motion to push that till the next meeting, seeing as how two of us haven't been briefed and not all members are present.
We have a motion on the floor to push it to the second meeting for the election of the officers. So I have any comments?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, second motion. Any discussion? Take a vote. 4-0. We will table that until next meeting. Next thing on the agenda is actually the schedule. It is the third page on your packet for the commission meeting. We do need to get this, at least the first meeting, passed. I have looked it through. I did not see any significant dates next year that would be conflicted for that period on a regular basis. So it would be February 15th, March 21st, April 18th, May 16th, June 20th, July 18th, August 15th, September 19th, October 17th, November 21st, December 19th, and January 16th would be the first meeting of next year to start that meeting when we seat the new people. 6 p.m. on Thursday night on all those meetings. The location would be here. I need a motion to accept.
Make a motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Any comments and discussion? Only thing I will say on that is sometimes the July meeting, we do skip. We have added it so that in June, all we have to do is if we need something, it's already on the schedule. So we've held the date and location that can be discussed at that time. With no other comments, need a vote on the dates for Fire Service Advisory Commission. All in favor? Next is Radio Communication Committee report. We actually do have some information going for that. We actually had a meeting. Unfortunately, the only member that was able to meet, other than the new radio programming person, was Steve Zahn. He did come to the meeting. We had a good meeting. We passed over a lot of information to that. Aaron Smith will be the new full-time emergency services emergency planner and radio programmer. And last week, the part-time radio programming position was opened. So the way we are looking at this is we have a lot to do right now, and having two people programming, come to a meeting with a bunch of people, we're gonna upfit to where they can get multiple programs done. We have already found a lot of programming issues with radios and vehicles and those kind of things as it moves forward. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we will fill the part-time position too, which will give us someone that we can schedule throughout the week. It's not just a weekday person. It's not a day person. It is an as-needed position for programming to try to help with the radios throughout the county for all departments, from fire rescue all the way through volunteer and staff vehicles and positions. Eventually, I do hope that we can work on some electronics and those kind of things that we are waiting months for sometimes to get fixed. Presently, we have a vehicle that's been a month and a half waiting on some wiring, we believe is the issue. So, our goal is to try to look at that and have someone that can try to make sure that we're going down the right path at the same time. We are getting things fixed and using the system. They are already scheduled to go around with the Kenwood that was brought up, had some good radio signals in the Cleveland area, and a correctly programmed Motorola. What we have found is almost every radio that we are presently touching has something wrong in it, and something significantly wrong in it. So we are trying to make sure we correct those as much as possible, getting Aaron up to speed on our system and our programming, not just the channels, as we move forward. Pickens County has gone to Next Edge, so every radio had Pickens County frequencies in them. We're talking to them on what that's going to look like. There's some discussion on if they're going to continue keeping some of their channels and what. So he is already working with them on trying to make sure our radios have the right frequencies that literally this year changed. So it's already been a good thing as he's delved into that in just the few days that he's been working and actually assigned that full-time position to move forward. When emergency management needs a person to upstaff, he is also qualified for that. And so basically, he's a dual role in the full-time position. That's why it allowed the money to be rolled into that part-time position. So when really we get more hours on the radio side by doing it, because we actually have two people doing it as we do that. So we are moving forward. The tower is complete, and we are waiting for buildings and those things on the 130 tower, which is going to significantly help the Bag Creek, Salem, all those areas. There is a possible another tower going in at Duke Energy, close to the baseball fields. There's some discussion there. And so we are trying to work through that, and if so, we would not go to the Salem water tower, we would go to that. That tower would be significantly higher than the water tower, and would be a lot better location for our repeater system as we move forward. But all of that information, we're trying to filter through and try to make the best decision for the money, at the same time preparing us for the future with radio programming. So any questions, comments about radio?
With finding significant issues with the radios, has there been any discussion about having Aaron go out to each one of the departments, maybe at a meeting, and try to slowly work through some of them to see if we can put station by station?
Yes, the plan is as soon as we get a decent amount of schematics built that are correct, every radio in different model requires a new programming. So what we're doing is we are trying to pull different models in to have a good schematic already made, so that when he does come to a department, he can actually service a good many of them. So
Pre-built instead of building a code plug there.
correct, instead of building it on the spot, because some of those are why we missed a box, because we were, doing it quick and those things. So he has been tasked with that. I know the 26th, first thing in the morning, we're meeting with dispatch with him, working code plugs. So he is already getting meetings set up with to get as many of that figured out, to include mobiles and handhelds. So I will task him with going to departments to work on programming and the part-timer too. So we'll be able to dual purpose that when things are, to get as many radios as fast as possible fixed. We all know that the new remill tower's up, so every radio that touches any of that area needs to be programmed. Because there's a new tower that it's not, no one's seeing. So we are, doing that. But yes, that is the plan. Thank you. Anything else?
I have a question about Aaron. Is he a former radio person, or is this brand new to him?
So he has had radio programming before, mainly on some Kenwood side. He is learning more on the Motorola side. He is also a certified Cradle Point technician, which is the GPS system that we were going to go with and didn't really have anyone to do it. And so we hope that he will be able to literally get those programs up. That's actually the one of the programming conversations on next Friday with dispatch. We would like to program our GPS, the staffed vehicles, specifically the ones that we've already paid the money to upfit for the test, that they show up in dispatch, and dispatch can send the closest 21 truck, not just 21-1, the south truck, or the north truck, whichever one. Actually, I do those backwards. 21-1, the north truck, 21-2, the south truck. But send the closest truck instead of whatever it's supposed to be, because we know that sometimes there are different locations all the time. So to get that over, and he is already certified in that. And,
Okay.
and so that's where that came from when we did that. And,
Okay.
and then we also had the opportunity to, 3 or 4 of the people that actually inquired about the position, that already do it professionally, we may be able to pick up on the part-time basis. So we may be able to actually expand the people that were eligible for the position. They weren't willing to take for the money that we were paying full-time. We may be able to secure them part-time.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right, I guess it's me then. I'm continuing to talk. First of all, welcome. Thank you for your dedication and willingness to be a part of this committee and advise us on the departments you represent and your valued opinion on topics. As we move through this year, we're going to be bringing you policies and procedures, and we're going to we want to have good discussions about those. We want to try to get as much buy-in as possible to where we can operate the county. A lot of them are specific to the paid staff and the operations that we have to, but a lot of them will overreach and meet the volunteers so that we can all be on the same page. We can all try to we do a great job on scene, but when we have so many new people, we have to have a teaching mechanism so that they know how it's done. We may have all worked together. I've worked with most of you for a better part of my career here, and so we know kind of how we do it and whatever. But I have a brand new person that I have to be able to teach, and so putting it on paper and having a policy or an SOG is going to significantly help us as we bring new staff on, and we train these new people so that you get what you want from us, and at the same time, you know what our guys are going to do also. So I think that's a good center ground to try to make sure that we're all working the same thing. Doesn't mean we all have to be exactly the same, and each one of you has your own individual, representative area. But if we all work together and are doing the same thing, we all know we're that much more efficient as we move forward with that. Introductions and new members. We'll start over here. Region 1, our new member, Will Bates. If you would, just quick introduction, and if you don't mind, and we'll...
Absolutely. Will Bates, I think I know everybody in the room fairly well. Been with Mountain Grass for the past 9 years. Been heavily involved in volunteer rescue side, paid side, seen all different sides and walks of life, and look forward to hopefully continuing the good difference that's being made and working with each of you the next year.
Tony, welcome for your second year on this term, so welcome. Austin, welcome. Thank you for taking notes. We'll get to that in a minute. Terry Sanford, welcome for the Region 5, which is the contracted city contract group. So welcome. Thank you for
Thank you.
for your willingness to be here. And I know it was very short notice for you, so thank you for dropping what you were doing to do that, as we just got that vote finalized today. So so thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
And I blanked on what I was gonna say, I'm sorry. I'll think about it, sorry. Incentive update. So incentive is out. We are fixing a couple mistakes, through that, as we all know, what that looks like. We hope that the helicopter insurance, I will be getting with you for the members that are on there to get their paperwork done. I literally just received that today. And we have to fill out some paperwork for the company to actually write the policy. But we are further than we ever have. So we are going with a company, for anyone that gets incentive this year, will be full transportation, both ground and air. And it's actually a full policy, which means we do not have to say no Medtrans or no Life Flight. It will cover all of the helicopters that come to Oconee County, to include Mama, the Georgia helicopter, the Pickens helicopter, the Greenville helicopter, and the Anderson helicopter. So we won't have to worry for that. It is going to be a lot of paperwork right up front. We are trying to do as much of that as possible for the departments, so that it won't be too much. We're gonna have the main part filled out, but you will have to I have to have a sheet of paper signed and stuff filled out. So as you talk to your departments, please, remind them when this comes out. The sooner we get them back in, the sooner those are gonna be activated. For that, we'll provide a list of everyone that was qualified, that is gonna be part of that system for the county, on the incentive program.
Which helicopter program is it?
It is not a helicopter program.
Is it the insurance policy of the state fire?
Yes, it's through the State Fire Association. We're doing the full transport, which will cover, EMS, ground transport and air transport, instead of just the helicopter transport that we had, that we used to provide actually over 2 years ago now, so.
That just covers what your insurance don't cover.
Correct, yep. But it gives you that supplemental that you don't have to worry about getting, if you're one of the 20 percenters, if you have a $10,000, deductible on your insurance for large out of pocket, your bill's gonna be $10,000 that you owe the helicopter if you call for a helicopter. This way, it will cover all of the deductible and everything that your normal insurance does not cover. If you don't have insurance, it covers everything. I briefly covered this in the radio communications upgrade, but we have fulfilled the staffing for the radio position. We are getting computers, cables, all that kind of stuff. I've tasked him with making a list of anything and everything, and if we have to budget it next year, because we don't have enough, we did put some upfit money in that budget for him. So we're working through that to get all the radio stuff, and then we're gonna duplicate it for that part-time person so that we have computers, programming, and they can literally, if they have to be out there. If you do know someone that is in the radio business, and is a professional at it, when I say professional, they've had some training in that, doesn't mean they need to be paid to do it. We are looking for that part-time position, and that position is open. So, we encourage them to go on the county's website and apply, for that, position as we want to try to fix as much as possible, as quick as possible once we get those operational. With that, chief?
Okay, there in front of you, you should see, the quarterly compliance and reporting, policy. And, we kinda had some guidelines now for the quarterly reporting, but really didn't have it outlined in a policy. And most of this is the meat and potatoes that is there is still the same as it's always been. It kinda outlines who needs to get the paperwork, who needs to get the reporting. So for the fire departments, it needs to go to, the Assistant Fire Chief of Operations. And, currently that position's vacant, so they've been sending them to me, which is fine, until we get that position filled. For hazmat, that needs to go to the Deputy Director of Emergency Management, and for the rescue squads, it needs to go to the Deputy Chief of Rescue. We've had some departments that'll send, financials to one person, a roster to somebody else, and then they won't send the quarterly form that's required for the chief to sign off on, that everything is there. And, so this kinda outlines everything that should be there, everything that should be done to get the quarterly report, as well as the form, quarterly checklist form needs to be completed with the chief's signature, attesting that all the requirements have been met, and submitted with the paperwork. One thing that I will point out, that all incident reporting needs to be complete by the 10th of the month, so that the NIFRs can be submitted by the 15th of the month, to the state. And I will, make a note that, under, G, that we will change that, cause that was Brady's position. We will ensure that the, county training officer is listed on the department's fire portal roster, is listed as a training officer, and that will help verify that for the training for the incentives. And at the end of the year, when we're doing incentives, it takes a lot of time verifying everybody has at least, some type of, certification training, so that speeds that process up if the, county training officer can verify that through the online portal. So that is that. The fire staffing update, I've said it probably twice this week, be careful what you ask for. We wanted applicants, we've got applicants. I've hired 16 people in the last 3.5 weeks. So it's, with council's, adjustment in our pay, it has been good for us. We have applicants, and we have 10 that's going to recruit class, 9 of which start Monday. And I have 1 that'll be going to, Spartanburg, cause we just offered him a job this week. And so he's not gonna get through the process in time to get into the January 22nd class. But, we only have 2 40-hour positions open now, full-time positions. We were given 9 new positions for the Bountyland Station. Those 9 positions have been filled, along with the other open positions that we have. We've hired some part-time people. I think I may have 3 or 4 part-time positions left in the 2 40 hours. That's all we have, so. And I'm still getting applications in for those. So hopefully, by late spring, we should all see, this staff out there helping. And I know the current staff we got now would appreciate it, because overtime has been a good bit just when we have somebody out sick. We're very appreciative of what county council has done for us with our current pay. The last thing I have, also in front of you, you should see a junior firefighter program, policy. We've had a couple of chiefs reach out about having junior firefighters interested in the department. And, at the time, I only think we had 1 department in the county that currently had a junior firefighter. So the South Carolina State Firefighters Association, publicized guidelines, back in 2010. Those guidelines were updated in 2022. And so I used those guidelines along with the state law that, was passed for junior firefighters to be able to take trainings, to establish these guidelines. And, one of the things that took a little time was we was trying to ensure that workers' comp was okay, our risk manager was okay with this, so that workers' comp will be covered in our junior firefighters. So this kind of outlines what a department needs to do if they do, want to take on junior firefighters. Gives the age requirements for different things that they can and can't do. Certain ages can't ride on a truck and go to a scene. But they will be covered under the county workers' comp, provided they are on the roster that is turned in to us, and that I give that name to the risk manager so that they can specifically ensure that they have that junior's name down for coverage. One thing that I will point out that I think is, important to note, that for junior firefighters, there's not a background check required, but prior to training or response to any calls, the junior members will be required to undergo a medical physical, just like any other firefighter, and that was a state requirement as well. One thing that's in here as well is that each department that has the junior members must appoint a department representative to be responsible for the junior membership. These representatives shall complete and provide documentation of youth protection training, some type of youth protection training, and this is to help protect the departments. And one such source that I found was that the Boy Scouts offer a free training online through their Exploring. But they need to provide that documentation that they've had that training to help. That just helps ensure that somebody there knows there shouldn't be any one-on-one with a junior member and any adult member of the department at any time. And so outside of that, the guidelines are there. I will send this out to all the departments, and so that they're aware. And I've sent it to the chiefs that have been already inquiring about, having people that was interested in doing that. Along with the policy, I did, there is the law as the last thing, that's section 5. The South Carolina Junior Fire Academy membership program registration is there. The parents, place for them to sign, and then the classes that they can take. And then the last thing is a consent form before they take county training. So, do you have any questions about either of those two policies that I mentioned? The biggest thing for me is gonna be making sure they're on that roster so we can make sure they're covered under workers' comp. We don't need anybody out there training or going to calls that are not covered under workers' comp, but we gotta ensure that that physical is coming first. So, if you have members in your departments, in your areas that want junior programs, they will belong to that department just like any other member, not the county. So, anyway, and if your department chiefs have any questions, they can feel free to call. That's all I got.
Any questions?
Well, they're not getting the school program back going.
So no, not at this time. The Career Center has not filled, and there is no plan to fill the fire instructor position.
Yes, I just thought I heard somewhere they're trying to get it back up and going.
And I'll say that my experience with the school programs in the past, not Oconee's, was that those, administration staff from the school districts that recommend people to that program is not students that are being successful in school, that may not be going on to college, and they view that firefighting world as a blue-collar job, and they try to get them to go do that. And it's fine. Sometimes they'll be successful in the high school program, but when they turn around and gotta take the firefighter 1 or the firefighter 2 test, then they're not successful, and then they never actually come out being a firefighter. And so the school district in Lexington County was doing it, and they were not seeing the fruits of their labor. The program that the school district was teaching was nowhere near what the firefighter 1 curriculum was. And I think until, number one, that program gets tweaked so that the people can actually get a job when they come out, or have certification when they come out, or be able to pass that test, I don't see it as being a win And there may be a few people that come through there that can do it, but they were not being successful in the Midlands with it because of that. And then the students that get recommended for that program is not always the students that are gonna be successful taking those type tests anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We as a fire service need to change the mindsets of society about our profession, because it truly is a profession. I mean, it's not just a skill anymore. We actually have to have some knowledge. So,
Well, if you got 100% of students going into the class, you're not turning out, but 5% is making it real firemen.
Yep.
It's kind of a lost cause. Yeah. All right.
and if some way the program itself and the material they teach could change, I think you could probably yield some better results, because what they teach, and then you get a chance to challenge the firefighter one exam when you're done, and you don't pass, then you're just kind of stuck. You know, all of those previous years in that program are not gonna yield you anything. You're gonna have to start all over and go sit through a firefighter one class. And I think we lose those kids' interest when they gotta do all that over again. So they have the skill, they can pull the hose and roll the hose and put on gear, but they can't get that written test because of the way the program's written for the high school level.
Fire Commission updates, Region One. No, you just didn't have an opportunity to touch base with all your chiefs, so.
Actually, I talked to most of them, and I think a lot of their concerns in Region One was just the radios and wanting to see where we stand. I know Travis said the new repeater that was put up over in his way is helping a little bit, but they're still trying to kindle and stuff. And just waiting to see how that plays out. I know that's mainly the biggest concern is radio communication in the valleys.
Region Two?
I was slacker this month, I didn't get with my chiefs either. The only thing I do got is, I don't know if we could have like a moment of silence for Sean Hamilton, or can we do that here?
Yes, we can.
Right, thank you. Yeah, I know he's just here, and friend of a lot of us here. He's a great guy. But, that's all I got.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get to talk to anybody, but I'm sure I'll have something, at least from one of them next month.
All right, with that said, with no other comments or questions? Motion to adjourn, second?
I'll second it.
Second? All in favor?